Very good evening, everyone. So it's exciting to see like we are around 50 plus folks who are in here. I can't see the exact number, unfortunately, but that's awesome. So yeah, I will just start. So how the session will go is I will start with the introduction of DK24 so that you can know who are we and why are we doing this. And then like we'll continue with Joyvin explaining about MCP, the philosophy of MCP, and what actually is MCP. Then after that we'll transition into Darshan Bandari, who will like take you through how like you can build your own MCP and integrate it with your like IDE, like integrated development environment. So yeah, that's the flow of the session. And this is an open discussion. So I'm just quoting discussion because this is not a formal kind of session. We all are tech enthusiasts who have gathered in a call, and like how we were chatting before 7:35. Similarly, we'll be chatting later on as well, so that everyone has the same room where they can discuss their like doubts or maybe put their own inputs, all those things. Okay, so first I will start like about DK24. So DK24, we are not a community of yesterday. We are not a community of tomorrow. We are a community for the future. So that's what we are. And we are a collaboration of 6 colleges who are in the core team. So we have Sayadri, we have AJ, we have Nitte, VCET, Puttur, we have Srinivas Institute, then we have St. Joseph. Hopefully I have counted everyone. So we are 6 college, and then we have Kendra College, which is there in a cluster, who we recently onboarded like last month. So why are we currently here? So I will start with the story. It's quite interesting. So what happened was, me and few folks last year we attended India Force, which happens every year in September. It's happening this year also. So when we attended there, it was a crowd of around 1,500, 2,000 people who were present there, and mostly it was Bangalore audience, Bangalore audience and Kerala audience. That's surprising. And the one thing which I noticed is the audience are super enthusiasts. Like there was sessions around 50 to 100 talks there were, like including sessions, workshops, and all those things. And it was houseful every time. People were asking questions left, right, and center, and like they were asking deep technical questions. And all the communities were getting so much involved together that it was basically like a cult kind of situation. Like they were pretty much into the tech ecosystem where we felt kind of left out. Like we are in Bangalore, we have colleges, we have technical communities, but we don't have that kind of energy which the Bangalore students showed at that time. So seeing that, like what you call break in the, like since we are only separated by 300 kilometers, we are in the same demographic actually. Why is that gap existing? So to bridge that gap, we 6 communities started with this initiative called as DK24. So we are a developer community, and 24 is the year when we started. So what is our goal? So we are an umbrella community which will connect all the 6 colleges to college communities together for now, and we are expanding to different colleges as well. And why are we doing this? Like when we are individual colleges, we are just like small pockets of what you call people who are spread across different regions or different colleges, and their entire what you call efforts and uh, visibility is limited to their region, but we want to expand it. When we give a regional platform to all the college communities, they get a wider set of audience who are actually interested in what they are actually doing. So that's one of our main goal. Why are we doing this? So as an independent college community, you can't achieve much. But when you are part of DK24, you can achieve everything, basically, whatever you want. Because you have all the workforce, you have all the people, all the brains who have worked in their individual communities coming together. It's like 6 infinity stones which we have in our hand. So that can like basically destroy the universe or create the universe, whatever you can do. So I hope you get the context for that. So our mission is mainly to foster learning and build the environment where people are enthusiastic about tech. We learn new things, we explore new things, we are curious about new things. Basically, we build in public, grow in public, and learn in public. So that's the main agenda why we are here. And one of our vision is to have the same kind of ecosystem or maybe better ecosystem if we are optimistic than which Bangalore currently has. I am not like directly competing them. You can also consider it like that, but that is the benchmark which we are setting. We want that kind of audience from Bangalore in the next 10 years. And how are we doing this? So this session is one of the first public interactions which we are having. So this kind of sessions will be rolling out more in the near future, where we'll be taking like intermediate to maybe some like advanced level topics, which is actually used in corporate world, not something which you will be taught in your college or maybe another like whatever any courses or something. So we want to gather information. Now we have Joyvin and Darshan, and I was also supposed to give a session, but unfortunately I couldn't make it to give it. So we all who have worked with MCP, we want to share our knowledge with the people who are maybe new to the tech ecosystem or maybe who have just heard about MCP. We want to bridge that gap. And learning will always be more when we share it with others. That's another goal which we have. So that's the reason we are here for the MCP session. And yep, and I don't want to waste more of your time. I just wanted to give you a brief overview about what DK24 is. So again, I will repeat the statement which I made in the starting of the session. If some folks missed it, we are not the community of yesterday. We are not the community of tomorrow. We are the community for the future. So we are thinking in the future, and we want future for all the students who are there in Bangalore to be very much great, where we all can learn, collaborate, and build together. So yep, that's and about me. Sorry, I forgot to mention. I am Devish Shetty. I am one of the like core what you call we can call committee members. Of I am from I started from Sayadri Open Source Community. Now we are part of DK24 community. So yeah, that's about me. I will share like put it over to Javin, who will be actually going into the session talking about MCP. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Devesh, for the introduction. And before we start, I'll also do a short introduction of myself. My name is Joyvin. I'm from St. Joseph Engineering College. I've graduated and I'm right now interning at EG. I work mostly on React, Java. If anyone has questions about Java or React anytime, you can just ping me. And before any further ado, let's start with our main topic. Oh, wait. Let's start with the introduction. But before we start with MCP, what it is, we'd understand how did we get to the point of MCP? Why did you need it, and what is the history behind it? So let's start with the different phases. I'm pretty sure some of you were able to relate it. If not, we'll have a good example later on to make it more understandable for everyone. So let's start with the initial history. And I think everyone knows when the phase one, just LLMs. So I remember when ChatGPT came out, I think November 2021. Did I get the number correct? 2023, something. It was like the boom. You got different types of chat models. You can ask questions, you could explore, ask, generate videos and all that. It started evolving. You got it, multiple models. You got Claude, you got Gemini, you got Quank, Olama. So many models came. That was like the first phase of this LLM race, where you had different models. You could ask questions, but after some point, did you notice that these LLMs are there's no big jump. The LLMs are good; they can talk, but they have some lot of problems. One of the major problem was context. If one of the major problem, if your ChatGPT was trained on data, so every LLM is trained on information, and if you're after some point, if you ask the information what happened to the incidents, it may not know it. So what do you do? And if you want to ask search something, or if you want to edit a tool, you may not get the right information. So what happened? The next phase of evolution of LLMs is that you had LLM with context. Context can be information, can be connected to a tool, connected to some external software that can give it more information to get it. For example, right now, if you go to ChatGPT, let me see if I could move my screen. Well, I may not be able to do it. One second. Uh, can anyone see this? Me moving?
Yeah, Joyvin.
Yes, great. Let's go to ChatGPT. Can you see these options? Add photos, study and learn, create image, deep thinking. And if you tell search the current news of India today. So what this does, you have a base LLM that could be ChatGPT. In this case, ChatGPT. It goes to the Google News and then gets the information. So you have an LLM and you have a tool called Google Search. You are connecting them and you're getting the information. That was the second phase of Evolution. Now, scrolling this is pretty hard. Crazy. That was the second phase of evolution. You could connect to Google Sheets, like Divesh was telling, right? You could ask info Google Gemini to do something with the Google Sheets. But now it's like LLM plus context is equal to value. Businesses saw a lot of information. That's why WinSurf and all these tools came into existence. How many of you have used Copilot and Code Editor? It can create files. It can create images, enter the code in different places of the code. So these are actually agents. You have an LLM, it has different tools and agents to do the task. But there was a major problem with all this different tools that we have. Can anyone just tell me what could be that major issue that caused this problem when you added LLM with context? Hello, anyone?
Some storage issue, like updating memory or something.
Not really, but that's also one issue.
Access to
Maybe it was
external
forgetting
information.
the context. Like
Forgetting
it was not getting it correctly.
yes, if you have a lot of information, you have a context window that you might hit. But no, that's not.
Complications, like
Guys, I have cold, so if I cough, forgive me for that. Complications. See, you as an yes, it is almost correct. You're on the right track.
like overwriting the real information or
Mm,
Access to external information.
yes, those are the things done by tools, right? But there's a problem when you have so many tools and you have so many LLMs. What is the problem between these?
It would hallucinate, is it?
Hallucinate? Yes, but that was there in LLMs as well. Guys, this is an open discussion. I would like to everyone to say some points. Whatever, if it's wrong, no issues. Everything
You
is
have
right.
to write the integration code for each tool.
Yes, exactly. So what happens is that you have an LLM and a context. You have different tools. Let's say Google Search, Figma, Google Sheet. Now, initially, what used to happen, if I want to connect to all of this, you need to open their documentation. You need to search for their specific API configuration, get that API, put it. You connected Google Sheets. Now you want to connect Figma. Go to the Figma documentation, search the API endpoint you need to get, do the configuration, add it. Now you need to add another Google search. You need to go to Google Search API, get the API key, enter this, and connect it to your whichever system you want to do. Now, to add 3 different tools, you had to do so much. Imagine you are building a system that has like 10, 15, 20 tools integrated to each other. How are you going to sit and write all different config? It's going to be a big hassle for everyone to do it. So that is why MCP came into existence. MCP is called model. Models, you can be ChatGPT, Copilot, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, all types of model. Context are the tools that could be Figma, that could be GitHub, that could be Google Search. These are the contexts, the tools that are giving the information to the LLM to perform better. The third one is the protocol. Now, protocol are the rules. So you're giving us standard rules to connect different models to different tools. So what happens now is when you have a same set of configuration for each. Suraj, let's get to your question there. When you have
like
yes.
like the previous problem you mentioned, you were too fast. I didn't understand.
Oh, sorry, my bad. Let me go so slow, a little slower. When you have the problem happen, are you talking about the problem?
Yeah.
Yes. So the problem was, suppose you are going, you want to, suppose you are a user. Now, Suraj, you're starting a company and you want to connect your system so that you can improve your workflow of your employees. So what you'll do, you have GitHub, you have Jira, you have Teams. You want to integrate, you have to get Jira tickets from Teams. You need to, tickets are basically the tasks that are given from Jira. You need to assign the task and then you have to put it in GitHub and then you have to mention that in Teams. If you want to automate this task, what you have to do is that you need to first go to Jira. Jira, you need to search the API. If you know what API is the endpoints you get to connect to some external systems or servers. You need to get from Jira specifically. write the entire code for it to connect to Jira. Now you've done one task, right? Now you go to the another one that you need to integrate GitHub to it. You go to GitHub, you get the information, you get the API and connect it. And then you get the Teams API and connect it. Now you add the LLM to it. Now, did you notice that I am writing every tool I add, I need to write different code. And every model I add, I need to write different code. Now, this makes a very problematic situation for developers to keep building based on different. It's like there's no standard procedure of connecting stuffs. I'll have a very good example to make this understand. So we'll get to that. So now we'll see some definition of what it is. MCP is an open source industry standard protocol. Protocols are rules to enable large language models to connect to different tools, API endpoints, external tools, and prompts to get information or context so that it can perform the task it is supposed to be. It is based on client-server architecture. Now, let's get to the interesting example that make you understand why you do need standardization will help for the architecture. So how many of you have iPhones? Can anyone raise your hands? iPhones? I can see thumbs up. Yes, yeah. Now, can anyone tell me what is the problem if you are in before iPhone 15? If you are in the company or some outside and you have low charge, what is the problem? And you don't have a charger, what is the problem you face? Can anyone tell me?
Access to a charger.
Yes. So when you think about it, iPhone has lightning types of charger. So if I go and if someone asks me, I have a Type-C charger, and then bro, I think I don't have your charger. And if you have an older phone that is like micro USB, like I don't have the charger for that. So you need 3 different chargers. Suppose I have 3 different phones. Now I have to carry 3 different chargers for 3 different phones. Now that's a problem. Now, but did you notice in this current scenario, now you have only one single type charge, that is Type-C. iPhone has Type-C, Android has Type-C, laptops have Type-C. So now if I'm going somewhere, I just need one charger that can connect to all of my systems. Can you see how convenient it is for my laptop to get charged from one single cable to multiple laptops? So this is the main. Now this, I hope this is relatable for you guys, that why standardization can help you so much. Okay. And now before we go into the bit of theory architecture, let's shoot out some questions if anyone has, so we can answer them. Hello, does anyone has questions?
Okay, so the problem you mentioned, that we had to write, like they had to write separate code for every single tool they connected, right?
Yes.
Okay, so what is MCP doing here? Like, how is it solving it?
MCP is, so what MCP does is it has standard structure. So it says that you need to have we'll get to the architecture. You have to have a client. The client should give a request in specific format, and the server will have to respond in a specific format. Now, do you see? You will have the input and output are always same. You know what's going to be the input, what is the structure of the input, you know what is structure output. Now it is easy to integrate, right? Can you relate?
Okay.
So model context product is not something very, what you can say, a mind-blowing, state of the art thing. It is just, it has a problem that we have multiple tools that are configured in different ways. For us, it's very hard to connect. What model context is like a set of rules that tells, you know what, you need to create a client, you need to create a server, you need to create a host, and you have to connect in this way. You will, I think Darshan will give you a demo on how this is going to happen. But I think let's go to, we'll get back to you. Let's shoot some more questions so then we can go to architecture.
Thank you, Javin.
Any other questions, guys, before we move on? Okay, looks like everything looks good here. Now let's start with a bit of architecture. So in architecture, you have 3 different components. You will have a host. So host could be, how many use Visual Studio Code? Can anyone raise your hands? Thumbs up. Yes, yes. Visual Studio Code, your IDE can also be a host. You have Claude, desktop, and AI tools. These are the hosts. These are the AI applications that can connect to different systems. In individual hosts, these are the structure architecture of the rules that you have to follow in MCP. You have a host, and host can have multiple clients. Clients are basically your, front end and back end, right? That's like the simple example. You have front end, you have back end. So client is basically like your front end. It's like the thing, the software that is in your system there. Client will connect to different servers. Servers are the tools. So server can have a tool that could connect to different Google Sheets or whatever it is. So in this example, you can see it is connected to one MCP server that is connected to your local system. So if you use GitHub Copilot, it has an MCP server that connects to local file system. Then you have an MCP server to connect to your database. Did you just see in backend, if you write your code, you have to write separate code to connect your database. But in MCP server, you can have a server of database and integrate directly to your client, MCP client. Then you can have Gmail, you can have Sheets integrated to you directly. We will show you a demo how easy it is to connect. So you have a host, which is your ID Cloud Desktop, that is the main application. You have the client that one application have. It is connected to different servers or different tools. That's basically it. But there's deeper, actually, to be honest, there is more deeper instructions of how you need to have your uh, input and output and all. But we try to keep this more beginner friendly. So if anyone wants to go deeper after the session, we have some time. Of course, Darshan is there to help you out there. And yep, that is from my side. Let me just try to open marketplace. Divish, hello, you're there? All right, and maybe I'll just share. So you can open marketplace, Git, or let me just go to my Visual Studio Code. Oh, it's not open. Interesting. If anyone has questions, please post on Q&A time and end as well if you don't have questions. Yes. If I open this, can you see my screen, anyone?
Yeah, Joyvin.
Yeah. You can connect to MCP servers. You can have GitHub, global. Yeah. And it's gonna take some time. Okay. I think I will do this demo once after the thing. It's already a little bit above my time. Yep. If anyone has questions, just shoot it out. Then we can. I would like to give Darshan to continue because it's already 8, and I want to him because he's doing the actual demo of MCP, and you will understand better. So if you have questions, how different is MCP to GitHub Copilot agents on VS Code? Different is MCP to GitHub Copilot agents. So if I understand your question correctly, you're trying to say how is MCP different? Actually, GitHub Copilot is the agent that can connect to MCP server. Both are different, yes. They are different and they do different tasks actually. Amrit is right on that. Do we have any more questions on that? Yep. Anyone have questions? If not, then agents are like, yeah. So I'll give this to Darshan now, and if you have more questions, we'll get back to this on after Darshan is done with his demo. Okay, thank you everyone.
So I hope everyone got a brief idea about what MCP is. So before I say about give you a in technical demo on what MCP actually is, so I want to give a quick intro to the history of this AI. So does anyone know about IBM Deep Blue? Does anyone have the idea of IBM Deep Blue? So okay, so IBM Deep Blue is the first supercomputer. So there is a famous history, the supercomputer versus Gary Kasparov. So the chess is the game of, the brainstormers. So the IBM, they developed a supercomputer in the year of like 1967. At that time, it was the biggest milestone where one CPU was able to, compute about like 200 million bits per second. So that was the computing power at that time. So since chess is one of the most complex, challenging game that required some concepts like permutations and combinations, so they use this supercomputer Deep Blue to play a chess against the chess legend Gary Kasparov. But do you know what was the outcome? So this supercomputer couldn't beat Gary Kasparov. It only bet Gary Kasparov once. So how come a normal human can beat that supercomputer at that time? So does anyone have any idea about how actually Gary Kasparov won against that supercomputer? If yes, I'm open for your answers.
Uh, when was it developed, that supercomputer?
It was developed
Yeah.
in 1967 in that age, in that time. So this competition was held at that time itself. The Gary Kasparov versus the Deep Blue.
Like there might be some bug in that supercomputer.
Simply, answer is simple. Supercomputers, they don't know how to think. Humans know how to think. Computers didn't know how to think. So
I
that
think,
was the only reason why
yeah.
humans could win against the supercomputer. So now that's where the trend of AI come into picture. Now, if you see exactly how we can, compute a chess is nothing but we are using a mathematical concept called as permutation and combination. Okay. Now, if I say now one chess coin or one chess element or a board has 64 uh, 64 movable spaces. So now if I try to compute the all possible moves, it goes up like 64c64. It's in billions. Okay. Now for a normal human to compute all these possible moves, it takes millions of years just to give the result of all possible moves in each particular space. But supercomputer was able to do that within a day, but still it failed. Why? Because it didn't know how to think. Means now if I move a particular coin or a particular space from one location to another, what the supercomputer was doing, it was calculating the all possible moves of that particular point with respect to the particular space. But we as a human, what we do, we just think what is needed for the particular move. So that's how Gary Kasparov was able to win against this Deep Blue. Now, if you see the same supercomputer now in the current era, now no human can beat a supercomputer. Can anyone say why? Before, supercomputers weren't able to think, but now supercomputers are able to, like, false think and give the result. So can anyone say why the supercomputers now in the current era are able to win against a human?
They can interpret the data.
Okay, one is data.
Number of operations that they can perform are much more than what they could during that time.
Okay, so simple, they are just computing the required data. So that's where this MCP concept comes into picture. Now we'll go with the basic terminologies. Now, as a normal human or a normal developer or a normal business person, if I want to get a right result from a chat GPT, so I need to give a correct context, right? I need to give the current requirement for the AI to give the generative to give the proper result, correct? Similarly, we are giving the right context to the AI through this MCP. Clear? Now, as Jovin said about the phases of this MCP, in phase two, he said how we are connecting the multiple tools to a AI, but still it was not lacking. Still, it was lacking with some of the expected result. Why? Because it was not having the right context. It was having just the prompt. But through MCP, we are giving the right context to the AI so that it can give the right outcomes. Okay. Now, I will just demonstrate you in a simple way how we can build a small MCP server in our local machine. Okay, now I'll just share my screen. Okay. So now I'll be using VS Studio Code. So I'm using Copilot. Okay. So here I'm using Copilot as agent. One of the folks asked what is the difference between this GitHub Copilot and MCP. So as John said, Copilot is an agent. MCP is the connection between the data, the context to the AI model. Okay. Now, so first uh, I'll open the terminal, and now I'll be using TypeScript to build my MCP model. Okay. So I will type npm init y. So I'll initialize a simple package.json here. I hope my screen is visible. Uh,
Yeah, that's in your
Yeah,
screen. Is
Darshan.
okay. Now here what I'm gonna do is in the package.json, I will create a new type as module. Now question comes why module? So because here in MCP we are deploying the MCP client as modules. So by default it comes as uh, common JS. You can rewrite it to module. Okay. So after this I will install some necessary libraries I want to implement this MCP. So you can go to the Chrome. So here we have the MCP library. So here we are installing a SDK for my TypeScript. So SDK is available for all different languages. For Python, the SDK library is different. For Rust, and for Rust, the package is different. So since I'm using TypeScript, I'm using the TypeScript SDK. You can find this in GitHub in the MCP model context protocol repository. Okay, I'll just copy it here and I'll paste it. So I have installed MCP. Then I will install Zod. Okay. So SDK is nothing but a software development kit that is required to build the client for us. Okay. Now Zod here I installed for validation, input validation. Okay. Now after this, I will create a file that is main.ts. So since I'm using TypeScript, I'll be using this file. Okay. Now, first, I will import some of the packages I need, some of the modules I need to build the MCP server. So I'll go with MCP server. Then I will import Zod. Okay. Is it visible now?
Yes, Darshan.
Yeah. Then after this, I need to create a server. So guys, you can refer the documentation given here. That's where I refer. So they have given all the setup here. So whatever things are needed, I'll be referring this only. Okay. So first I need to create a new MCP server. So from the class MCP server, I create an instance. So it takes three things, that is name of the server, version of the server, and description. Okay, so I'll just give it name as the MCP server, or I'll just give it as the one which I'm gonna do. I'll give it as weather MCP server. Okay. So after name, I will go with the version. This is the base version, and description. I'll keep it as simple: a server that provides weather information. Okay. So after defining this server, I need to create a tool that is like the set of actions that my MCP server can do. So I'll be using this server instance and I'll create a tool. So again, in tool, it takes n number of parameters. It takes the tool name, tool description, and the input we are supposed to take and the action we are supposed to do. So let's do it one by one. So here I'll give the name as get weather. So next I'll give the description, get the current weather for a location. Then inside an object, I will say city for. Okay, let me keep it simple. And then I will return like a static result. So I'll give it as return. You can give it as context. So here I'll be then like this. Okay. So does anyone is having any doubts here?
What is that Zod used for?
A type validation. So here we need to validate the type of our input, right? So that's the library in TypeScript. Okay.
Okay. Can you explain the each block, like what is all it doing,
Okay.
like server.tool you build, and what is it doing, and the previous code, like code block, what is it doing?
Okay. So now first I need to have my server. I need to build my MCP server. So how do I create my MCP server? Through this block. So this block will create a new server for me. So the name of the server what I'm given is weather MCP, the version of it, and the description. So basically, it just creates a server. Okay. Now, after that, I create a server. I need to implement. I need to have some particular tools that will perform a particular task for me. Okay. So I'm using the instance and calling a method called as tool, which will create a tool for me in this server. Okay. So it takes three parameters, that is name of the tool, description of the tool, the input what we are take, and the return context. Okay. So here let me keep the return context as simple as possible. So I'll keep the type as text, and the text as this is the okay. So this string literals.
I think we use F, right? F or dollar.
So here I need to run it as in so let me check what happened. So oh, so what happened was I missed this async parameter. Okay, my bad, sorry. So what I did now here was inside the tool, I took the input, then that input is stored in this variable. So I missed this part. I didn't store it in a variable here. So I'll capture this variable and I'm returning the action I'm supposed to do. So this is basically like giving a static result. So let us see how exactly it works. So for that, I need to install one more library called as inspector here. So what is this inspector library? So it gives a UI dashboard. I mean the UI setup where we can test our MCP server. So first I will install this. Yes, yes.
Guys, I think you can also parallel try it out while he's doing it.
Yes. So
Helps
now,
for exposure.
if I speak about the JS frameworks like Next, React, or Nest.js, what we do, like if you want to see the result, like if you want to spin up the server, we'll run a build command or the development server command called as npm run dev or npm start. Similarly, to bring up my MCP server, I need to have an inspector. So how can I run it in my local host? So here we have this tool, this library called as inspector, which will spin up a UI for me where I can test my MCP. Okay, so there are different ways you can spin up. So I use this one here. You can pass the command to build your uh, like to execute your TS file too, but I kept it as simple as possible. Okay, so here my command is npx. I'm writing the command how to execute my MCP. So y is like to give the s permission, then tsx and the file name main.ts. Okay, now I'll click on connect. So now here you can see the client server transport. But now I missed one step. So I have built a server, I have built a tool, but I didn't connect a transport layer. Transport layer in the sense, so it has three components. One is server, tool, and transport. Server will initiate a server for us. Tool will initiate a set of actions we can do on the MCP server, and transport will connect this MCP server with that client. So we need to define a transport here. So I will give it as a variable called as transport, and using this studio server transport library, I'll create the instance. So this library will connect my MCP server with the client. Okay, now here I'm using the server instance and dot connect with the transport. Clear? I'll just save the file. Now here in my browser, if I try to connect, just refresh UTS. Now if I click connect, now you can see connected and you can see this page. So what it basically does is, now when I click on connect, it will execute this file. Okay, so this file will be passed through this server here. So that's what you can see here. So here you can see created server transport, created client transport, that is executed by this. and it is sending the session ID. So session ID through which it can communicate with the application. Okay, done. Now once it is established, you can see the tools. Now if I click on list tools, I can see get weather. So this tool is nothing but the one which I have done here. Clear? So the name of the tool was get weather, which is shown here, and the description, whatever I have given here. Done. Now here I'll just select this tool. So city is the one which I'm taking the input here, and now I'll just put it as Mangalore, and I click on run tool. Now you can see the current weather in Mangalore is sunny, temperature is 25 degrees Celsius. So my MCP is working fine now. So it is able to take the input from the user and it is able to give the result. Now if I try to change the message here, I'll put it as 34. Now if I try to run again, you can see the result is same. So whenever I do the changes, did I save here? Okay, I need to save. So whenever I do the changes, it is not directly reflected in the MCP server. So I need to restart my server. So it is restarting, then I'm connecting here, then I'll go it as Mangalore, and then I click on run tool. It is giving the right result. Done. Now this is how we are building an initial MCP server. Now here I'm giving the data statically. I'm giving the results statically. Now, how can I give the right context to my MCP? So for that, we will be using some APIs. We'll be fetching some details from the API and we'll pass it to the MCP server. And through that context, we'll connect our LLM and see the result. Clear? So I'll go to the Chrome. I'll be using openmeteor.com. So this is the free weather API library that is available for us. So here I'll go to read docs, and if I see here, to get the weather of a particular location, I need few things, that is latitude, longitude, time zone, etc. But now passing all this data is a bit difficult for us as a user, but we have a method here called as geo API, geocoding API, that will give the latitude and longitude of a particular location. So first we'll call this API, and where we are passing the city name and we are getting the latitude and longitude of that place, and then passing that record details to my weather API. Now here if I see the API documentation, it's giving like this. Now this is the URL which I need to copy. I'll come to my Visual Studio Code, and now here inside this function, what I'll be doing is I'll be declaring a variable called as const response, where I fetch the response from the server. To I'll be using await fetch and the API name. Okay, so now let's see what exactly this API gives us. So I just paste it. So it is giving the result in this manner. So if I send Berlin, it is giving the latitude and longitude, evaluation, elevation, and all the things. Okay, so now here we'll be passing a city. Just making it. Okay, so here we need to make it as async. So after we get the result, we are just JSONifying the response. Now, what if what if the city is not available? I need to handle that edge case too. Okay, Copilot is giving me the result. Okay, now after this, so what this part does is it will call this API where we are passing the city name. This API will fetch the latitude and longitude of that city and it will give in the response part. And we are just JSONifying the response and storing it in a variable called data. Now, what if the city is not present? So we are handling that edge case too. Okay. Now, once we get the latitude and longitude of a particular location, we can call the next API. So first, I'll just destructure the latitude and longitude part, and I'm using the results.0. Why? Because here in my API, I can see count as 10. So what it basically does is like when I call this API, it will give the 10 results of that particular location. So in that, I'm selecting the first result. So there I'm storing in that result, I'm storing the values of latitude and longitude in this variable. Done. Now after this, I will go to the normal API. I'll go for redox. Now I will go for current weather. So I need temperature, relative humidity, apparent temperature, wind speed, rain, showers, cloud cover, whatever you want, you can select here. And you can select the API URL which is generated below. Done. And here I'll go it as weather response. Done. Now I will make this latitude and longitude dynamic. So I'll go with latitude, go it as longitude. So clear. So what we are doing here is first we are fetching the latitude and longitude of that city, and then using that latitude and longitude we are getting the weather data. Clear. So that's how we are doing. Now I'll just justify the response. Done. Now here the one modification what we can do here is instead of this text, instead of this text we can use the JSON dot stringify. I'm going with the weather data and I'll pass it to. Done. So I just save the file. So does anyone have any doubts here? So what I'm doing is before in my tool, I was statically returning the response. But now what I'm doing is I'm fetching the latitude and longitude of a particular city, then checking if the city is available or not by using the edge case conditions. Then if it is available, I'm just storing the results of latitude and longitude of that city and fetching the appropriate weather from that latitude and longitude. And here in the text, I'm that returning that weather response, that is weather data. Now if I come to Chrome, if I come to my MCP inspector, since I have made the changes, okay, it's already saved. Now I'll just restart my application. So it is restarted successfully. Here I'll say, I'll put it as Mangalore, and I'll click run to. So now here you can see the latitude, longitude, and all other details like what is the current units, what is the temperature, what is the everything. So basically what it does is it is giving the entire result of that API, I mean the weather data of that particular location through this API. Now through this context we are pass by this context we are passing it to LLM so that it will interpret what that context is. So how we are doing is that we are going to our custom, that we are going to our ID. So here I'm using VS Code. So I'll be using something called as MCP. So I can go with add MCP server. Okay, I think in my Mac it is not allowing.
Sorry, guys, there was some small technical issue from the speaker side. Well, so if you guys have any doubts from previously, whatever the discussion topics were there, you guys can take up and speakers will be uh, ready to speak on that. Like, take up your issues.
Bro, Joywin, can you explain the structure again?
Yeah, but sorry, where was I? What did I miss?
Yeah, could you please ask the question once again?
Ganesh is asking what's the difference between us connecting different API together and to one with MCP? Like it's standardization, right?
Yeah, one second. Sorry. Okay. So it depends in what context you're talking about. See, API is just one thing. MCP is a, like I said, if you go back to the definition, MCP is a thing that is combination of LLMs connected to different tools. So these tools could be an API, remember. So API is just an individual thing here. And MCP is the LLM which has different tools that could be API is part of MCP. Got it? How long would it take to learn to build agents and make a career on it? See, agents right now, building agents has become easier is because, wait, I think there's Samin. Could you just answer this question, please? So we have Samin here. He works in Nivius as mostly in data and Gen AI. So I think he can answer this better. Samin, okay. How long would it take? Hmm, he just disappear. Okay, I would say I could not just tell a fixed time because time is different for anyone. If I say 3 months, and if you take more than 3 months, you will get discouraged or something. So if you want to have just of good grasp or something, I think would say roughly 2 months. Yeah, depends on your length. I do not want to give a specific time frame like 3 months or 4 months, but if I'm taking an average number of, if you have some good experience on developing stuff, you can build decent amount of front end and back end. I would say within a month you can if you are someone who regularly develops, like for me, I am not into AI stuff at all much, but the fact that I'm good at development, MCP is like just a part of your learning developing stuff. So it's for some people it's like if some people it's like just a one night thing. For some people it may take a week, some people a month. So your goal is like, don't say how long will it take, just keep exploring. The more you explore, the better you get and you'll understand. But Ganesh, did I answer your question though? So if anyways, AI is going to take. So one thing about AI is taking your job. LLMs, like I said initially when I told that first phase of LLMs, you notice in the evolution, LLMs were getting hit a plateau. Like they're not getting better than what it is already. It's hitting a plateau. And I use it Copilot. I have the enterprise edition, so I have all the models, and trust me, it does not solve my regular problem that I'm facing. Sometimes what it does is like, there was this one solution where I had to add. So what happens when you click, right? You're supposed to, when you open a new window, there's some other parameter underscore something to write. Copilot literally did 12 file changes. I would say 12 file changes to make it possible. But the actual solution was just one parameter in that one. What is this? Yeah, Suraj, you have a question.
Like, I would like to answer Ganesh, like, it's not going to take your job, it's just speeding up the process. There needs to be someone who handles the process. Okay. And you, if you have the knowledge about it, then that's that's what will get you the job. Okay, so you know, you should know how will it make your process speed. Okay, like if you are in web development, then you should know that how the AI tool, like you might use it to speed up your web, to speed up your web,
Workflow.
developing your web page.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, workflow. That's what I meant.
If there are like 10 bugs, so ChatGPT will not be able to solve all 10, but the fact that it can still solve 5 or 6, and then there are 4 hard bugs that are you as a core developer do. Now, what you could have spent each bug, if you take 1 hour, ChatGPT finished all six in 1 hour. You saved 5 hours of extra time, and then you fixed other 4 bugs for 4 hours. So now you have reduced your time by 50%. It means you're being 2x. So rather than being 2 developers, it's only being one developer. So basically, AI is not taking a job. It's a developer who is using AI that's taking a job.
So basically, you are turning like more into a prompt engineers rather than full developers.
I would
Exactly,
say,
exactly.
yeah, prompt engineering is an amazing skill. You need, see, LLMs do give results, but if you give random ask, like, okay, give me the solution of this code. If you tell that, most cases it's not going to give you the solution. You should clear say.
No, no, Javin, like, even if you are a prompt engineer, like you should have the knowledge of that. What do you call it?
To understand the
The
code,
tool.
what that
Yeah,
AI is
yeah.
giving you.
Like, what will you ask a prompt? Like, tell me how do I code this middleware? Like, you should know that what is that middleware doing. If you don't know what is middleware doing, you will tell it to make an app. And if you want to do any modifications, where will it specifically modify the changes? Like, you should know where to mention the things.
Yes, perfect. That's actually a good answer, to be honest. Thank you, Suraj. And that's like, this vibe coding thing was like, I don't need to know programming. I can just type and everything will be done. That's like the thing of the past, man. You don't see vibe coding hype anymore in the internet because, after some point, see, vibe LLMs were able to build these games. But the thing is like, I think many of you may not have noticed, everyone's building a similar type of game. Basically, the model was trained to build that specific game. But if you're trying to ask it specifically to build something else to your specific niche case, it's not able to build. You do realize that LLMs are trained on data. It's going to generate something that it already knows. If you're trying to make it something it does not. So suppose your company enterprise, like for example, let's take Pratham as a company called But Technologies. But Technologies has its own product, which is closed source. I don't think any product-based company is going to share your code. Okay, this I am OpenAI is like, my ChatGPT models are open source. You can just use it. Then if you ask something about OpenAI chat model, you will answer because the model knows the entire code of whatever OpenAI is. But companies are not releasing the code. For example, EG, if I ask specific, I'm in working front end. If I ask specific to my UI, it's not able to answer. Guess what? Because we are using a custom built UI library that is specific to EG. The LLM does not know what is the code. So, there are some things that ChatGPT cannot do. That is where developers will come to make sure whatever is ChatGPT is not able to do, you can do it. But what AI can do is like improve your workflow. For example, for the time being, we are talking about code. But what about other workflows? So in companies, right, one of the workflow I built, right? So you're creating tickets. You're creating tickets in Jira. You're going to take that ticket. Then you have to make it as processing. Progress. Then you have to do some changes. Then you have to copy that ticket, assign it in your GitHub, and then you have to make a PR, and then you have to put it in Teams. All these three things are like complicating. You're like, you want to code, bro. You just don't want to sit and do all this pro stuff. So what you do? You build a workflow. What it does? An LLM, an MCP server is there that is connected to Jira, Confluence, and all this MCP server connected. You tell the LLM, this is my ticket number. Get the ticket number from Jira, and then do a PR for my current changes, and then put it in GitHub. What this agent will do? It will go to Jira, get all the information, get the context. I was like, it's a model. You have a model. You're getting the context. You're putting it in the LLM. Then you're getting the then your one tool is done. Now you go to the second tool. It's go to GitHub, makes a PR. You did whatever changes, pushes it, creates a PR, puts the image, puts the content. There's a this thing, pushes the PR, and then it hits the Teams page to in the notify your teammates that I have made a PR. Can you review it? In just one click, you did all three things. Man writing in his left hand, no matter how much you tell it to generate, it will just create a man writing in right hand. That's what it's just. So LLMs cannot reason. LLMs cannot do new things. It's just whatever it's trained, it's just gonna vomit whatever it's garbage in, garbage out. Okay, guys.
So, like I had an issue regarding that. I'm using Mac, so I have given a permission. Like I have set a security. Like if I'm sharing the screen, I can't use my enterprise VS Code. So that is why I couldn't set up my MCP server. I just disabled it. Now it's working. So I'll just share my screen. So
Yes,
sorry for the
yes.
technical error, guys. I didn't check it on.
We are all learning it, Darshan. So don't feel bad. I mean, who is the programmer here who can write
Yeah,
code
that's
and run on the first try? That's not a part of being programmed. You need to bugs are the reason why we exist. If you go problems are the things that you're supposed to solve. We are a developer, so it's fine, Darshan. We totally understand. It's being
Oh,
developer.
oh, Joey. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So now, in our VS Code, I will just open the command palette. You can directly click Control Shift P and just type MCP. You can see an option called as MCP Add Server. So I'll just click on it. So what you are doing here is like you are adding a MCP server in your VS Code. As Jovin explained in his architecture, that we need to have a host where we are connecting multiple client MCPs. So here we have built one client MCP, that is our weather MCP server. Now we are connecting it with the host. Okay. Now I'll go with the first option, that is run local command that implements a MCP protocol. So I just click on it. Then I'll write the command what I need to, like the command which will execute this file or execute my MCP server. So that is npx -y and tsx main.ts. So I'll hit enter. Then what name I'm supposed to give to my MCP? I'll give it as weather app. Hit enter, and it's asking whether should I run this globally or workspace. So time being, I'll click it as workspace now. Like you can select globally, it will work for all of your workspace, but now I'll keep it for my own workspace. Okay, so this is how it's gonna add your MCP. So if you see in your file directory in your .vs code, it will create a file called as mcp.json. Inside that, it will add the MCP server name and the commands. Okay, now I will open my Copilot. So this is again an enterprise Copilot. So the result will differ from one version to another. So the enterprise Copilot is different, the result is different, and the normal Copilot free version is a bit different. Okay, so good thing is that this MCP server will give the same result for both. Okay, now I'll ask the Copilot, can you give me the weather of status of Bangalore. So it's running. See, it is passing an argument called as Bangalore as city. So this is the result that is giving. So basically what we are doing, we are just giving this context to the AI. By seeing this context, the AI is giving the expected result. So that's how MCP is. That's how the like MCP will fine tune your expected result. Now I'll just go with the what's the status of Mangalore. So when I click continue, so it is giving all the details. So it is giving a summary to summarize the context. Now I'll just ask which is better, Bangalore or in terms of weather. So this is how we are using this MCP. So yes, I will share the code in GitHub. So no need to worry. So this is how we are leveraging the power of MCP in our AI agents. So it's like an adapter for our AI LLMs. So that's it, guys. That's it. How you can build and integrate your MCP in your code code IDEs. Thank you. If you have any questions, you can pull up the questions.
Darshan, can you please summarize the whole code that you have written, like the whole process?
Okay.
Hey, it's a good idea that you once you share it in GitHub, maybe you should read it on your own and explaining. I feel you will get it better and you will get to experiment because right now he's sharing, right? You may not be able to, that feel of doing things you'll only understand when you do things.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, so once he shares, so maybe better we can I get your number? That's what.
Bro, Ganesh is gay.
Yeah, so I think once the code is shared, what we'll do, we'll have a feedback form. Post that, we'll have a whoever has doubts, you can reach out to Darshan and communicate back. And this is what we are now. We're trying to build a community. So you don't need to be bound by this session. Don't worry, guys. So code will be shared. Experiment yourself. When you have any doubts, so we have something planned for the next for mainly on MCP. We'll let you know, but depends how things go. Right?
And guys, to say
Okay,
the
sure.
scope
Thank
of
you.
this MCP now, uh, now if you think like for a small firms or like as a student, you might not see the power of MCP, but if you see in terms of these corporates or enterprise tools, there the scope of MCP is very large. Now, I'm working as a platform engineer, so here we are building a tool where we are migrating the legacy code base into the modern code base. How we are gonna do it? So there are different tools available in the cloud. We have Amazon Q, we have Code Guru. There are many tools, but they don't use this AI to transcript the code from one version to another. But through this MCP, through this agentic AI, we can speed up this process. So usually this migration, we call it as lift and shift. It takes around like 6 to 7 months in enterprise or in corporate. But using this concept of this agentic AI or MCP, we can do it within weeks. So that is the scope of MCP in terms of industries. And also, like if you want to see about the banking sectors, that is, they use a technology called as mainframes. So they have this data analysis. They, in the administrator role, they have like they need to monitor the data, so they need to go on the server logs. So there are n number of logs different generated from different servers. So to get the specific logs, like to get the actual meaning of those logs, we are using MCP. So this is the we can say the scope where Kindle is working on, where Kindle is already using it. So we have built that tool in our Kindle. So still we are building more MCP tools that will boost up the developer experience. That is our productivity. So also we are building a new framework that will boost the developer performance by 7 to 10x using the concept of agentic AI and MCP. So that's why MCP is now the hot topic in the market, and that is why we chose MCP for the first community event.
So, okay, guys, as we are wrapping up our today's session, so now the doubt session is open. You guys can ask your doubts. Darshan and Joyvin will clarify your doubts and will help you guys in clearing your doubts.
So if you want, you can ping us up in cluster. We are happy to help you guys, and also our community is happy to help each other. So you can just ping up in cluster so that everyone will get to know.
Yes, and session is one way, but actually is building. So we're gonna have something where you're gonna build, get feedback and stuff. We're gonna get to that point yet. We'll have a review, but you have to fill the feedback form so we know who you are, so we can reach out to you when that happens. So make sure if you are part of this session, ensure you fill the feedback form so that we know who you are, and then we'll reach out to the next session. That's gonna be very important. It's gonna get a lot of exposure. You will have people from not one colleges. Imagine you have good people from all the colleges. The count is so big. You can ask anyone whatever doubts you have. Need more sessions from Joyvin. Thank you. So guys, please scan this feedback form. Please fill it and give your feedback our sessions, because if it's good, if it's bad, we don't know. We can improve. This is our first session. Over time, we'll improve, and we can only improve if you fill the form. So we're gonna help each other on that.
And also, guys, this session is just like an intro to you guys. So it's all about up to you how you are using this session. So the MCP one, it's a very big topic. I mean, there are n number of tools we can build, but we gave a small insight, a small intro on MCP. So using this idea, I think it's up to you guys to explore more and build something big.
Guys,
So
I have something interesting for you to share. I think this was supposed to be covered by Devesh, but unfortunately, due to some unforeseen circumstances, he was not able to present this. So I'll share you this. Uh, this is the marketplace where you get different MCP servers. Now, what Darshan created is a custom build, but there are n number of MCP servers available on the internet where you can just take it and connect, get a Figma and all. You can go to this link that I've shared in the chat section. I've pinned it also. Open it and you'll find so many MCP servers on documentation, Wikipedia, Figma, Google Sheets. It's so many. You just click the button, it automatically comes to Visual Studio and connect it. Now you can just ask your LLM. The MCP will do all the behind the scenes stuff to get the right context to your model. It's pretty much free, bro. Guys, this is open source. People are just there to help you out. And also, can anyone raise your hands who, if you do not have GitHub Pro Pack, can you raise your hands? GitHub Pro Pack. Yes. And I'm pretty sure most of you are students. Most of you are students. That means you get free GitHub Copilot Premium Edition. So I think you guys are missing that out. I think if you in the feedback form you can just fill something which says if you want a session, small brief session, how you can all the student benefits you get. We can have that session as well, because I'm pretty sure all of us are broke and we can't afford to pay $20 to different tools to do it. Companies are giving stuffs for free, and you need to have it. GitHub Pro Pack is still there. You need to go and get it, and you will get Copilot Premium, and you get a lot of models than just 2-3 models.
and also, guys, GitHub Copilot or this that is not the only IDE. So you have something called as Windsurf, you have Tray, you have Cloud Code. Those are all free. So you can try those out.
Did you
You
know
have
that?
AI Studio too.
Yes. Did you know Google provides 2 TB free, 2 terabytes of storage free for students for 1 year? I'm having it. So, there's like the benefits of being a student is so big. Like you go to any technical sessions, usually students either get it for free or dirt cheap. So you have to use it when you're a student. If you're becoming a corporate like me and Darshan, see, we are going to Force United. We are going to pay 800 for that session where you can just pay either free or just 200 bucks. You may need to make use of it when you're a student there.
Share the link of the 2 TB storage, please. I badly need it.
I shared it at the top, but you know what? If you guys ping them, if you want sessions on how different benefits you get as a student, just put a comment on superb. Just say type superb, and then
Surely, Javin, we need it.
if I get at least 20 of them, we're gonna have the session on that.
Ah,
Come
So
on, come on.
guys, always exploit the student benefits.
Yes, right.
That is rule number 1. Rule number 2, follow rule number 1.
What are you talking about? Flight Club. Okay, guys. I hope everyone has gotten the feedback from. If anyone wants to get in touch with us, our LinkedIn profiles are available. Devesh is right there. He works in levels.5, and there is me, and there is Darshan. There are a lot more than that, but over time we'll get to know each other. If you have any doubts, please reach out to us in our LinkedIn profiles, and if things go very well, we're gonna bring you out in the community and maybe in the core team. Who knows? So looking forward to talk to you guys. And yes, I have to go. I have something else to do at the moment. After we fill the feedback from, I'll know who and all are there, and we will reach out to you. So bye bye.
All the best, Javin. Thanks, guys.
bye bye, Joy.
Bye bye. Thank you for everyone for joining. See ya.